If you have ever struggled with listening to your intuition, with trusting that gut feeling, this is for you. The things I'm sharing today have not only changed how my life looks day to day, it has now altered the trajectory of my entire life, of my future, of my business. Um, and I'm here to share them with you today. I have my notes, and it's really simple. If you are ready to trust your intuition, I just want you to follow these 3 steps. Okay. Not only did I trust my intuition enough to where now we're moving to Sedona without much of a plan yet, but that's okay. We'll worry about that later. Uh, it also it's just been like this huge thing where like we took action and then another thing came in front of us to where we could take action again. And like the steps kind of just like formed in front of us as we took action. So if you're trying to do the thing, if you're trying to manifest and, trust your intuition and make big leaps like we did, you can't do that without also taking action. You can't sit at home and journal your way to a new life. All right. So, number one is to listen and take note. This is great to do with automatic writing. I have other videos on automatic writing. If you haven't checked those out yet, feel free to do so. But step one is just to take note. Whenever you hear that intuition kick in, when you get that gut feeling, whenever you get that download, that zing, whatever you want to call it, just listen and write it down. And I have written hundreds of pages with my automatic writing. And that's what started this whole process of me actually listening to myself, to my higher self, and to my guides. Now, I'm saying intuition, but it kind of crosses over with my guides, my intuition, my higher self. Like it's a whole thing. So, whenever I say that I listened to my intuition, it's all encompassing for all of those things because my guides and Kevin's guides definitely helped us get to Sedona. So, number one is listen and take note. You have to listen. You have to turn your listening ears on. You have to calm down and maybe get into a meditative state enough to listen and then write it down. And then, step number two is go ahead and let your logical mind play a little bit because what's going to happen is you're going to write a bunch of notes out. It is going to feel crazy to your logical mind, and you're going to start talking yourself out of it. Even if it is putting you on your most abundant timeline, even if it is leading you to living your best life, your logical brain is going to start trying to talk you out of it. So after you listen and take note, go ahead, let your logical mind come in and play. It's okay. Let your logical mind list out some pros and cons or some facts or some logic in the situation. So, for our example, whenever we hosted a retreat in May. And when we were there, just a series of events caused us to start looking at a retail space. And within that week, we had already figured out what we wanted to do. Now, I'll talk more about that in a minute because it did change. But we had to also let our logical minds play because our lease here in Phoenix, which as you can see, I'm in the middle of packing because we are moving this month. But our lease here in Phoenix wasn't over. So we had to be like, can we afford this? If we can't afford it, what do we need to do? Those kinds of things. So that's normal. I'm not telling you to just throw caution to the wind and go move to wherever because your guide said so. You do have to have that logic in there as well, and that's okay. So listen and take note, let your logical mind play. And then step number three is to take action. Stop sitting on this information for weeks and months and years. You guys, it was the beginning of May, the first week of May. It was May 7th when we first looked at a retail space in Sedona. Today is June 7th, and we have already signed a lease on a retail space and on a home to live in Sedona. So we took massive action and we took action quickly. Money loves speed. If you are trying to make money, if you are trying to step into your most abundant timeline, you have to do the thing. You can't just sit around and wait for it to come to you. It doesn't work that way. So listen and take note. Let your logical mind play. And number three, take action. Now, I have to tell you, there is something that I wish I would have been warned about ahead of time when it comes to taking action. When you take action, you may trigger people, you may lose support, you may lose people who you thought were friends. Recently, in the past 6 months or so, I have grown an amazing group here in Phoenix where we meet up every week and we talk about metaphysical stuff. We do a different topic every week, and it's been absolutely amazing. I met some really great people that I thought were my friends, and they seemed so supportive. One of them, two of them actually, even wanted to go into business with me, right? Wow. Um, but I started moving. They said they wanted to move. They said they wanted to do it now. They said wanted to do it fast. And so when all of this stuff started falling into place, I was like, oh my gosh, it's meant to be. Let's go. Sending them pictures, sending them videos, letting them know, hey, I'm doing the background check. I'm submitting the letter of intent so we can go look at this place, FaceTiming. And when we look at the retail shops, all this stuff. And one of the people, she didn't have a very supportive partner. So she got very, very triggered by me and my very supportive partner taking action so quickly. Her feelings were hurt. And honestly, that's when our relationship started to crumble. I tried really hard to keep her as a friend because I liked her a lot, but it just didn't work out. And then it happened with another person that said, hey, I want to be, a healer in your space, and I want to rent from you, and I want to do this and that and the other. And we moved too fast. They wanted to sit back and talk about it and brainstorm and daydream, right? Nothing wrong with daydreaming, but I'm going to take action. So if you're going to take action, please just be warned that you may trigger people, even the people closest to you. And there's a reason they say it's lonely at the top. Not because you want to leave people behind, but because when you start taking action, they will naturally fall off. So, what I would love for you to do is, I would love for you to begin today with trusting your intuition, following that 3-step process, keeping those warnings in mind, and just being very transparent with your friends and your family and letting them know, hey, this is my dream. I'm going to go after it. I would love your support. And then at the end of the day, if they don't support you, you have to be okay with it. That's why a lot of people don't take action, because they know that people won't be okay with it. So if it's something that your intuition is screaming at you about, and you really want to listen to your guides, your higher self, and step into your most abundant timeline, take these 3 steps. Listen to your intuition. Listen to your logical mind as well, but don't let your logical mind talk you out of it. And then take action. And then let me know how it goes, because I want to hear what you did, what you took action on. So that's the end of the video. I'm just going to tell you a little side note about our experience moving to Sedona. So like I said, it's June 7th when I'm recording this video. May 7th was our 7th year anniversary. We got married in Sedona, so it felt very full circle. We went to a coffee shop, and we had already looked at retail spaces in Glendale and Phoenix and Tempe. We were at our retreat that we were hosting May 7th, and we went to get coffee. Actually, May 6th, sorry. We went to get coffee, and there was a sign that said retail space for lease, and it was so cute. And so I reached out, called the person, emailed, found out how much the space was, and I realized that we could afford it. It was the same price as what we were looking at in Glendale and Phoenix, if not cheaper. So it started the ball rolling. But I was like, oh crap, if we get a retail space, we live 2 hours away. We also have to get a house. And so we actually secured an apartment. At the last minute, it fell through. So fast forward, May 7th is when we looked at places, got the apartment, we're going to get the retail space, but they raised the price at the last minute. So we were like, nah, we're good. So then a couple weeks later is when the apartment, it wasn't going to work for us. You could only have 1 vehicle. We have 3. So we backed out of that at the last minute. And then we found this place in the woods that's very rustic, but also very centrally located. I will make sure I do some videos about that. And we're going to make a TikTok so you can actually see the house and the space. It's wonderful and beautiful. Kevin and I both felt very protective of this land, of the space when we found it. And so we just went for it. But again, it was like trusting the intuition, because looking at it with my logical mind, I was like, ew, I don't want to live there. That would be like camping because it's a historic campground, technically. It was built in 1930. Called Grasshopper Campground. And yeah, my logical mind completely shut it down, said absolutely not. But my guides were louder and they said, do it. You need to be here. We got back in the car after we looked at the place. Kevin was like, yikes, absolutely not. And I was like, but what if we did? And so we talked and talked and we decided to go for it. We got our keys. We moved in this last weekend or began to move in. We're taking some time. The vibration in Sedona is very high. And if you're sensitive to that, when you visit, you'll feel your body vibrating. And so we want to integrate slowly. But we did just spend our first weekend there and it was absolutely amazing. Coffee in the backyard, listening to the birds, seeing the beautiful night sky, no light pollution whatsoever in the town. So it was absolutely amazing. And we wouldn't have experienced any of that if we didn't listen to our higher selves, our intuition, our guides, whatever you want to call it, right? So honestly, what do you have to lose? If your guides give you a good idea or if your intuition pings you and you're like, oh, I need to do this thing, what do you have to lose? Try it, see what happens. What we did was we took the step and then the next step came in front of us and then the next step and the next step. And then we actually ended up finding a retail space as well. This past week, we went to look at it and it was amazing. It was perfect. We looked at several places and this one was just perfect. It was great for our start. It also only has a year lease, which is what we really wanted. All the other ones had a 3 to 5 year lease. So we're just dipping our toes in, seeing what happens. We're also building an online business around it since that's my specialty. But all of this fell into place because we trusted our intuition. Trust yourself, trust your higher self, and trust your guides, and good things will happen.